Do you love great Australian podcasts? Of course you do. Australians make incredible podcasts. And if you want to stay up to date with the best Australian shows, then check out Oz Podcasts. Look for us on social media and find your new favourite show from the Australian podcast directory on ozpodcast.com.au. That's OZPODCASTS, ozpodcast.com.au. Check it out.
If you like new stuff before anybody else, if you like to keep your finger on pulse, if you like the future and want to be in it, keep on listening because we'll start in a minute. Techwebcast, the hosts and guests are unsurpassed. Techwebcast, because technology, it moves so fast. Techwebcast, stick around and you're gonna have a blast. Yeah! Techwebcast. Techwebcast. Let's go!
Welcome to episode 311 of the Techwebcast podcast, recorded on the 25th of October 2014. Techwebcast is recorded every Saturday at midday Melbourne time. Please rate us on iTunes and like us at facebook.com/Techwebcast. Follow us on Twitter at Techwebcast. Your hosts today are Brad, Steve, Jen, Jody, Jacob, Paul, Belinda, Daryl, and myself, Andrew. It's a pretty busy one there. And we have a very special guest today, Dan Barrett from televisedrevolution.com. G'day, Brad. How you doing, mate?
G'day, Andrew. How are you, mate? Long time no chat. How's your week been?
Long time no chat. It's been a busy week. Yeah, good. I've been, as you know, in the car pretty much most of this week, actually on the way up to Queensland, visiting people. So a bit of a road trip, so just taking 2 weeks out for a bit of R&R and staying in touch with work and things. But, yeah, I'm up in Queensland visiting family at the moment, so it's been really good, relaxing.
How was the road trip? Do you want to mention any your favourite you've seen? Or?
Oh, it was... Yeah, look, we stayed in a few really nice places sort of on the water. We took the coast road up here to Queensland instead of going straight up the middle, which is a little bit quicker. And, yeah, it was fun. Everything sort of... We didn't have any problems or car issues or, everything went really well. There were no issues, and it was really enjoyable with baby Miles and showing him a bunch of places, and we took a whole heap of photos. So it's been great just to sort of get out of the everyday pressure cooker.
Good stuff, mate. And how are you enjoying Queensland?
Yeah, great. Got friends coming over this afternoon, my dad, and putting the barbecue on, have a few beers. So should be a lot of fun, Brad. How's your week been, mate?
Good, mate. Getting the iPad Air 2 on Monday. As you know. Let's go to Paul. Paul, welcome, mate. How are you?
Hey, good. How's everyone?
Good, mate. Good. And how's your week been? And what have you been up to for the last time we spoke?
When's the last time we spoke?
I can't remember, mate. Last time you spoke, something about you getting a new iPad or something.
Oh, okay. That's right. Yeah. I got the. I pre-ordered that.
Yep.
You actually did the pre-order at the same time.
Yeah, let's not talk.
The same day.
Let's not go there because I wasn't happy about that, mate. I was really pissed off about that too because you got yours in a couple of days, didn't you? How long did it take yours?
It was here on Wednesday, surprisingly. I ordered it on the 18th, and then suddenly it appeared on Wednesday, which was amazing for Apple to do because usually they don't deliver so small between the gap of the launch day and the release that they usually do, and they kept it really quiet this time, which is unusual as well.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Actually kept it pretty quiet, didn't they? It was a very small launch.
Yeah, it's like they didn't give anyone a chance to line up if they wanted to do that. Which I suppose is good, because then I suppose no one knows, then they can just walk in anytime and pick up one if they want to.
All right. We'll have a chat about the new podcast up too, Paul, too, soon as well, mate, the new Techwebcast.
Okay.
That's coming up soon. We've got Jody on. Welcome back, Jody. How's your week been?
Oh, the week has been awesome, Brad, and we're super excited because tomorrow the search and rescue team that we volunteer with is going to be filming a movie. It's called what is it called? I forget.
Yeah, you
It's
actually
called
showed us the other day
Searching
in
Hope.
Hangout, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, Searching Hope Springs. Yeah, well, tomorrow we're actually going to be filming, and it looks like it's going to be actually kind of an interesting day. And I think we're going to star Ruger tomorrow.
Nice one.
We'll see. Yeah,
Tough.
he'll get his chance at fame.
Can't wait to see it.
So, yeah, but everything's good.
Good stuff.
How's things with you?
I'm good. Good. It's been good. Yep. Yep. We've got Steve back on. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, how you doing? And also in the studio, the Techwebcast live video version, we have Michael Christian with us. How you
Welcome,
doing?
Michael.
Hi, everybody. Greetings from America.
Good to have you on, mate. We'll have a chat to you very soon as well. What do you do?
I'm a local actor here in Corpus Christi.
Okay. So your movies and TV shows.
Yeah, local stuff. Yeah, local stuff. Theater. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. We got Daryl on. Welcome, Daryl.
Hi, Brad. How's it going?
I'm good, mate. How you going?
Yeah, good. Surviving the sort of start of hay fever season here in
Oh, wow.
northeast Victoria. So I've mute myself a few times while I sneeze. You'll
That's
know
okay.
why it is. But
No problem.
busy week here. Our organisation is just about to go through a re-registration audit. So wow,
Okay.
so it's sort of like we're running around a bit like headless chooks. But
Yep.
yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Now you got the new iPhone. Is that correct, Daryl?
I did after last time I was on the program. I ordered one, and I thought, it'll be several weeks because I was late to the party. I got a bit annoyed because stuck around trying to get one through them. So I just went straight to Apple and I ordered it, and it only took about 3 days, and so I got the 6. So I'm really happy.
How do you like it? What do you like about it so far?
Really like it. Yeah, really like it.
That's
It's
good.
snappy, and camera's really nice, and it's great on the 4G here in Mansfield in northeast Victoria.
Good, mate. Good one, mate.
Yeah.
Enjoy the phone.
I will.
Enjoy it. We got Belinda back on. She also got an iPhone 6 as well.
Hi, how you going?
Hey, how are you, Belinda?
Yeah, not too bad. People are cutting in and out with my audio. I don't know what's
I'm
wrong
not sure
with
what is going on. It must be Skype itself.
it. Yeah, 'cause people are sort of going in and out. So
Yeah.
but the iPhone 6 is really good. I'm
Okay.
glad I got it.
Good
I
one.
was lucky. I just went into the Optus shop and they had it. So
Oh, nice. Okay.
and they also had the gold one.
So you got the gold one, did you?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's right.
Good one. What size did you get?
Just the regular.
16 gig or?
Yeah, 16 gig 4G. Yeah.
That won't fill up pretty quickly, or will that fill up pretty quickly?
Yeah.
16 gig?
It probably will. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's all they had. So.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
You can always delete stuff you don't need on, I suppose.
Yeah, true. That's right.
But, yeah. We have got Brian Brewer back on. Welcome, Brian.
Hello.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Oh, I'm just fine and dandy. How is everyone?
We are all good.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying my new phone,
Oh, the new Note. What is it? Note 4.
the Galaxy Note 4.
Okay, yeah. Jody just sent me a message saying, could you turn the videos off, because that's probably what the problem is, because it's taking up the bandwidth and that. It's the problem is
Me?
the video. Thanks, Jody, for letting me know about that. What else? Who else we got here? Jacob Jones.
Hey, Brad.
And it's your birthday tomorrow, mate.
You got that right.
Happy birthday for tomorrow, mate. And what are you planning for your day?
Having a mixture of tacos and burritos.
Nice one. What, all in one go, or?
Yummy. Yeah. Actually, one for lunch and one for dinner.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sounds good.
And also, I want to have a big cookie cake, chocolate chip cookie cake.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Let's go to some news then, Jody, and we'll have a chat with Jacob later on.
Okay. We do the intro?
Yep. We will.
I always want to dance to that or something. I feel like there should be some impressive something that comes after it. And this is episode 311, and today's news. So, Cartoon Network, for those of us who like to sit around on a Sunday and watch Cartoon Network, well, evidently, Dish is going to be losing Cartoon Network, CNN, and some of the other Turner channels. Starting today, Dish customers are no longer going to have access to a number of networks from Turner Broadcasting. Both parties, they couldn't agree. They couldn't come to terms on a contract extension. Among the channels now removed from Dish's programming are Boomerang, Cartoon Network, CNN, CNN en Espanol, HLN, True TV, and Turner Classic Movies. As you notice, others like TBS and TNT aren't included, and that's because they're part of a different agreement. So those dishwatchers, we don't know exactly when this is going to come to an agreement, but just be aware that you're not going to get those channels. In other news, digital news, Xbox One's new digital TV tuner lets you stream TV to a tablet or a smartphone. Microsoft announced its digital TV tuner back in August, but it's finally going on sale in the European countries. And the €29.99, which is $40 accessory, it plugs into a USB port on the Xbox One, and it picks up channels using free-to-air DVB-T, DVB-T2, and DVB-C television standards, which I'm sure everybody is very familiar with. It also enables the TV functionality on Xbox One, along with TV listings from One Guide. I almost said TV Guide, that's what we have here in the States. And unfortunately, you can't record just yet, but Microsoft is allowing Xbox One owners to pause live TV, rewind it, or fast forward. And the most interesting part of the digital TV tuner adapter is what it enables for Xbox Smart Glass. If you have a tablet or a smartphone running Windows, iOS, or Android, then you can stream live TV directly to it from your Xbox One with the new accessory. So another cool gadget for Xbox One owners. And, you might have been hearing a little bit of rumbling about HBO launching a standalone streaming service next year. I know Netflix has been a little bit worried about this. But apparently HBO is cutting the cord. The company announced on Wednesday that it's going to launch a standalone streaming video service in the U.S. that will allow you to watch HBO programming without paying for an expensive cable subscription. It's time to remove all the barriers to those who want to watch HBO, said the CEO at an investor conference in New York on Wednesday. He added that it's going to be transformative for the company. And I'm not sure if he meant transformative or transformational, but we'll let him get away with that one. A lot of details remain unclear at this point. How much will the service cost? Will it simply be HBO Go sold as a standalone product, or will it be a slimmed-down version with only some of the programming? Again, things that we just don't know. It definitely is going to be somewhat disruptive. In the U.S., the company currently offers HBO Go, which is something that I love. I have it on my iPhone, my tablet. What that does is it lets you watch HBO programming on demand on your devices. But before you can even use it, you have to have a cable service. So it's going to be a little bit different. Again, all in all, there are over 80 million homes that don't have HBO, and what they're trying to do is go after those homes. And HBO's announcement comes the same day that Netflix, the world's largest streaming network, is set to announce the most recently quarterly earnings. Netflix stock was down 3% as of late trading. In other news, in the phone world, there's a story about an iPhone 6 that caught fire after it was bent in a front pocket. Somebody out there has it against the iPhones. First they're going to bend, now they're going to catch fire. We've seen all the reports, both in video and in print forms. The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus are not the sturdiest smartphones out there. Apple says, hey, don't hold it that way. And actually, they said it's not an issue. And as long as you take care of your iPhone and don't do anything crazy to it, you won't have any problems. Crazy like putting it in your pocket, right? We still don't know what happens after you've had this phone for a couple of months, or what the worst case is when you do accidentally apply too much pressure to the handset. But apparently, it can catch on fire. With this particular phone, evidently it was in somebody's pocket, and he was jostled and slammed up against the side of his seat, and his iPhone 6, this gentleman's iPhone 6, which was in a leather case, ostensibly caught fire in his front pocket. And so anyway, this will be interesting. So not only will it grip your facial hair, and not only will it bend, but it potentially can catch on fire. Little exciting news for apps this week also. Vine adds support for iPhone 6 and 6 Plus extensions. Woohoo! They're now catching up with Apple.
Yay.
Vine updated to version 3.0, now supports the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. It also has a share extension and gives you the ability to follow channels. You can now follow Vine channels such as animals, comedy, food, and news. So, yay for Vine. And another app news, are you one of the lucky few? I know Brad is, and I know Andrew is, but many of us are still waiting. Hint, hint, hint. Did you get Google's new Inbox app? Now, if you have it, you can invite 3 friends. And Andrew, I'm sure you are furiously typing my name into that invite box. The jury's still out on Google's new mobile approach to email, but that hasn't stopped people from going a little bit batty or getting invited to use it. In case you were feeling a little weird about begging Google for an inbox invite, you can now just beg your inbox using friends like Andrew or Brad. If they happen to see a golden ticket, we really need them to use a new metaphor. They can start spreading the love. Alas, Google isn't letting the floodgates open fully just yet. If you got your invite from someone who didn't get theirs straight from Mountain View, chances are you don't have any invites of your own to share. So we're just waiting to see if how this is going to pan out and if there'll be a secondary market for these apps. The conjecture that I heard, or the point that I heard, that it's a little bit funky to use, a little bit wonky, but the jury's out until people start feeling like they're getting used to it. And that's the news.
Great news, Jody. What's your view on them stories, Jody? Any want to mention?
I'm a little disconcerted about the iPhone catching fire. I have a friend who, I still have the 5S. You know that I prefer my phone to be smaller. I don't know why. I mean, if my phone could be the iWatch, which isn't called an iWatch, just a watch, I'd be superly happy. But, the fact that they bend, my friend who has one, he swears it isn't bent, and I'm looking at it, and it looks bent to me, and I don't know whether it really is bent or if I'm just imagining it. So, I don't know. It just seems a little bit bizarro.
It's an optical
Other than
illusion.
that, I use HBO Go, so
Yeah.
and I have cable service, so whatever streaming, I'm
Would
in.
you ever get rid of cable TV, Jody?
Whatever what?
Would you ever get rid of it? Cable TV?
It's very expensive, and you know what? I've been thinking about cutting the cord because I don't use it that much, So it's not out of the question to discontinue it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Jacob. What's your view on them stories, Jacob? Any stories caught your eye, mate?
Say is for Dish, I don't like them.
Well, that's right. They're getting rid of them channels, aren't they?
No, they did a lot of other things.
Let's not go into it, mate. Let's not go into what they did. What's your view on the story?
I know, I'm just saying.
Well, let's not go.
That's why I don't like them.
Yeah. What's your view on the stories?
And the Xbox One?
Yeah.
I like that idea, but does it support cable?
Sure, I'm sure it would.
You'd have to have.
I'm sure. No, why I wouldn't support it. Let's go to Paul. What about you, mate?
Which iPhone caught on fire?
iPhone 6.
Like the 6 Plus or the
iPhone
6?
6. It's a 6.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, is this just like one case in the US, or is this?
I'm not sure.
I
don't know, mate. He put the story on. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just find that really weird.
Yes.
How it could just inflame itself after just not even using it. I'd understand if it was being used and it got really hot and suddenly somehow come alive.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, that sounds really strange. As for bending though, I haven't had it bend yet.
Right.
Not that I'm trying.
What's your view on this bending? business on bending the iPhone? What do you? I'm overhearing about it.
You're overhearing about it?
Yeah, I'm over it. What do you think about it?
I don't know. I'm just really confused why someone would purposely bend their iPhone to see if it would bend.
Exactly.
Like, all the videos I've seen on YouTube, it's like, why are you bending your iPhone?
Exactly.
That's what's confusing me. Like, I'm sure there's like legitimate ones that actually have it bent in their pocket, but I've got pretty tight pockets, and you'd have to put a lot of pressure on this thing to bend it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you would have to. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my view on that one.
All right, man.
I want to see the tight pockets and the phone bending in them. That's what. Yeah. But you know, I mean, if you have it in your pocket and you sit right, and there's a curve, and you're constantly putting it in your pocket. The one that I saw, it to me, and again, it could just be psychological that you think it's going to bend. It looked bent, and the guy swore it isn't, but it looked bent to me. I'm talking about the phone.
Did it sit flat on the table?
It's an optical illusion.
What?
The thing is, if it's made of metal and it's bent all the time and it's got heat going to it, then theoretically it may well bend. You know, I mean, ultimately, don't sit down with this thing in your pocket all the time with tight jeans on, because logic is going to tell you that you could have a problem, particularly with how thin they are. But even then, I mean, Apple have shipped millions of these devices now. You know, and if you've got half a dozen people putting their hand up to say they've bent them, and another, dozen maniacs going out into Apple stores bending them automatically, and then you got one guy who's got one that's caught fire. I mean, look, he's got a phone that's caught fire. Do we know anything about the jeans he was wearing? Was there gunpowder in there because he had his, sealed carry in that pocket all the time? Exactly. Who knows what the scenario was? There's millions of these things shipped, and you got one guy that's got his phone caught fire.
His pocket or something, your lighter or some whatever.
Yep, he just wants his 5 minutes of fame and his article in the paper.
Exactly.
Who knows?
Let me ask you something, though. Andrew, especially, with the way technology goes. I mean, it used to be, and maybe I'm insane, but my poor mom, I'm explaining to her, she went to the Apple store, and she says, Jody, I saw the new phones, and they're pretty big. She goes, am I mistaken, or wasn't it cool that technology kept getting smaller and smaller? I mean, we had boom boxes in the 70s, and I know I'm dating myself, but gee whiz, you got an iPod, and the iPod Nano, and it kept getting smaller. Now we got these phones that don't even fit into your back pocket without bending. Why don't we have an option for a smaller phone? I'm just saying.
They haven't come up with a hologram yet. We need a smaller phone that has a hologram that bounces out of it. We're working on it, don't worry. But that's the next thing that we need, because this is going to make phones go smaller again. Because right now, we've got this whole thing where we're so connected, we need access to all this information. We need a screen with all of this real estate on it. So that's why we want the bigger phone, and we're almost willing to accept that I've got a bigger phone, it's uncomfortable, it's clunky, it bends in my pocket, but check this out, I can do all of this, web browsing and write emails and load up Excel spreadsheets on my phone.
I have a different theory, though. I think the reason that the phone is bigger is because not America, I mean the world, really, everybody's getting older, and our vision isn't as good as it used to be. And I think that the phone is getting bigger to help older people see it better.
Interesting.
I mean, I like the idea about technology.
Justified. Let's go to Belinda. Belinda, what's your view on them? Any stories that or have you?
I thought the iPhone 6 fire story was pretty interesting, but I was just questioning whether they've actually got video footage of this happening, because they could have just made the whole thing up.
Yeah, exactly.
He would have taken video, but his iPhone was on fire.
Yeah, because the phone was on fire. So
someone on the street definitely took photos of that.
The only thing I could think of is spontaneous combustion. That could be the only cause of fire, possibly.
It says that the battery was and once the battery's punctured, is just about always what happens next. So,
right.
It says it's not a guarantee that bending your phone will puncture your battery, but for the phone to have bent while inside of Apple's leather case is significant.
Yeah.
So, but he apparently was in a cab, like a rickshaw kind of a cab, and he was forced up against the wall of the cab, which drove the phone in his pocket. Like, you know what I mean? So it was a forceful thing. It wasn't like he was just sitting there and then suddenly
someone pushed him into the
Well, actually, if you look at the picture of the phone itself, one of the pictures, it's actually bent almost 90 degrees, which kind of tells me that there was awful lot of pressure. If he had it in his jeans, the rickshaw turned over. He fell with enough force, because you got to think, what is this, 160-pound average man, high velocity hitting the ground with tight jeans and a phone, then more likely, and then when it's bent at 90 degrees, pretty much the battery's going to be punctured, and obviously you're going to have fire out of all that.
Interesting. Let's go to Brian. What about you, Matt? You have to be really quick because we got to get to Dan.
I'm glad that my phone, as big as it is, hasn't bent yet. Of course, I keep it in my shirt pocket. So, but I'm not surprised with the Dish Network fiasco, because it happens all the time. Because all it comes down to is the money. I mean, that's the only reason why Dish dropped them, because they legally can't have these channels on there if they're not allowed to. So but then Turner turns around and says, "Oh, they dropped programming. You gotta fight it back." When behind the scenes, it's most likely Turner saying, "You give us more money now." It's what it's all come down to. It's just more money, and eventually it will, which results in higher bills. So,
all right, good answer, Brian. Let's go to Dan. What about you, mate? What's your view on them stories, mate?
Just some clarification. So having gunpowder in my pants is a bad idea, right?
I don't know. Is it?
Okay.
Is it bad?
All depends on.
I don't know. I didn't realize
what to happen.
All depends on what it's mixed
with. Just going back to the story about the Dish Network shutting off the CNN and Cartoon Network and a few of the other sort of smaller channels like Boomerang. One of the things that really sort of struck me this week is we discussed that HBO story, but there was also a story during the week about CBS, who are launching their own online streaming service. So for $5 a month, you're able to start accessing all the shows that CBS currently have on offer, as well as a bunch of archive stuff like Star Trek episodes and Bewitched and all sorts of other CBS archive content. Now, in sort of considering what Dish networks are doing, it really seems to me that a lot of these networks, like CBS and now HBO, are looking to really just take control of their own distribution. So they're not going to have these issues where they get into a fight with the carrier anytime soon, because what does it really matter if they get into that fight, because they can go directly to the consumer. So we're not really in this sort of, networks aren't at the mercy anymore of your Dish networks or Time Warner Cable or whoever the distributor may be.
Okay. Do you have Foxtel?
I'd like to say something about that. You do realize that it will come down to when the carriers start going directly to the government, and much like what Tesla is facing, because this week, state of Michigan just signed a law banning direct sales of Tesla cars to customers, because the dealers aren't involved with it. So you start doing, with TV, and cable companies are going to start fighting back, because Comcast is a very big company that gives a lot of money in the U.S. government. And I can bet you that they would complain and complain until they can get all these representatives to form a law banning direct access to customers.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually going to be that big an issue for them. I mean, I appreciate the US regulatory sort of approach to it, but at the same time, you look at these big cable operators who also own large internet companies as well. Like you're paying them for your access to be able to stream and do all the exciting things that we want to be able to do. I think that maybe it's just going to reach a point for them where it actually becomes more lucrative for them to be charging people greater access to access online services than what they're actually making from cable television now. Like the money may actually just end up playing that role where it works out better for them not to fight it.
Doesn't this come back to the net neutrality issue, though, too, that if so HBO goes out on its own, and if the big cable companies in the US say, well, if you really want your viewers to be able to stream this in high def and you really don't want any stuttering or anything else, you might have to pay us a few extra dollars to make sure that your programs get through on the highest possible speed. I mean, wasn't Netflix having to do deals like that in more recent times because some cable companies were starting to sort of slow their connections down, or at least not give them the proper speed?
Yeah, I mean, from comments made by Richard Plepler, the CEO of HBO, it really sounds to me like he wants to work in conjunction with the cable companies that exist now. So what I'm probably expecting to see is that, yes, myself, Dan Barrett, I could go and pay $15 a month to HBO and start streaming the service that way. However, there may be a deal with, let's say it's Dish Networks or whomever the carrier might be. You may have a thing where, I'm a Dish Networks customer, therefore I can access it for $10 a month. And so there becomes like the sort of, it really comes into that sort of net neutrality issue where HBO aren't necessarily fighting for that, rather they're actually working in conjunction with these people to give a better deal to people who want to bundle their service elsewhere.
Well, even for the customers themselves, it's even if they cut the cable and go with the certain packages that they really want through, the internet, is it end up, by the time they add it all up, it's going to be almost the same or just as much as regular cable as well. I don't know.
Oh,
yeah. Good answer. Good comment, Steve. Dan, do you have
Probably
Foxtel?
will.
What's your view on Foxtel, Dan?
My issue with Foxtel is I really like... Okay, I think Foxtel is a little bit too expensive for the Australian market. Unlike the United States, we don't really have a long traditional history of pay television.
Right.
So, cable TV in the US really started getting up and running in the late 70s, early 80s, and started building ground there. Foxtel, however, in Australia, which is, for those who don't know, it's a monopoly that really control pay television in Australia.
Yep.
They really only started establishing a presence, 19 years ago, because we had their birthday this week.
Exactly. Yep.
So 19 years ago, they got up and running, but before then, no one really had to pay for television. So while there was the 3 or 4 years that they kind of had the monopoly on what people perceive TV as being, I know I myself started getting involved in a bit of the downloading of TV come the early 2000s, and that really changed my perception as to what my engagement was with television and what value I really placed on the TV. And I think lots of people more or less came to that same conclusion in the couple of years that followed. So Foxtel haven't really had time to embed themselves into our society, our community, and actually make us believe that there's value in the product that they offer. And I think I come to that to a certain degree where I look at the number of packages I need to be able to make sure I've got a TV service which kind of matches what I want from a pay television service.
Yep.
What they offer is just a little bit out of the budget that I'd be willing to spend. So while I like a lot of the content and their approaches to it, I do know that there's really much that Foxtel have to offer me. If it gets a little bit cheaper and a few sort of variations in the way that they offer their services, I really have no problems with Foxtel. But I've never grown up with needing to pay for television, and as a result, I don't know, I feel apprehensive, and I think a lot of Australians do.
Yeah, well, I personally love Foxtel. I've had it for a while now, and I love it, and I get good value out of it, and I watch it every day. And some of the shows that I can't get on free to air, which are on Foxtel only, which is Sons of Annie and them sort of shows, which you can't get on free to air.
I
Do you
think
think
also
there should be more competition?
In what way?
I was just going to say, because there's only Foxtel, it's like a monopoly for pay TV,
Well,
and there's no other.
Netflix is coming next year.
Yeah.
Netflix and
Yeah, but something exactly the same, like.
The problem in
It's
Australia,
just
though, is
one-
I'm not sure we have
population base.
enough population, correct. We're talking, by the way, with
Yeah.
Dan Barrett from televisedrevolution.com about television. So it's great to have that chat. And we're talking about Foxtel, and as you just said, Belinda, whether or not it's good that we've got one company, it's probably not great. It'd be good if we had a bit more government overlooking that, because there is a monopoly. But the pricing is coming back. I think November 1st or December 1st. $25 for the monthly package.
Yeah,
$25 for the monthly package plus I think $20 for the add-on. So they're basically dropping about a third of their pricing to probably try and compete with Netflix and some of these things. What's your opinion on that, Dan?
Well, first of all, don't get too fooled with how much money they're actually dropping when you start looking at some of these packages. If you're someone of whom doesn't subscribe to Foxtel now, $25 is an entry package. That's a really great price, and you can get in on that. But you start looking at some of the channels, and it's not really quite enough to get you excited about what you're paying that $25 a month for. So obviously you start having to add on a few of these packages. When you start looking at, I mean, I'm not a sports person, so let's just sort of establish that. If you love sports, Foxtel's an amazing service. If you're not really a sports person like myself, you need to start bundling a lot more packages to really find that value proposition from Foxtel. And once you sort of actually reach that magical point where you have got the value, and with that it means that you've got your movie channels, you've got your, I'm trying to remember what the new packages are. You've got box sets, which is their new sort of.
Yep. And there's
they're also the marathon.
There also will
series on demand sort of thing. Once you start adding that in, and I was going to say, once you add in high definition as well, you start reaching that same dollar point. So you're not actually saving that much money. You might save $10, $15 a month, but you're not doing that much of a better deal than you think.
Well, there's also the IQ3 coming out too, Dan. Tell me about that too, mate.
Oh yeah, and they'll be charging for that. I mean, I think maybe one of the biggest problems Foxtel have is that they do charge for the high definition channel access. Yeah. If you can actually provide the high def channels, that is an amazingly good value proposition for most Australians, of whom are now dealing with TVs of 55 inches or above.
Yeah.
Like, standard definition TV looks really crappy. Standard Foxtel looks really crappy on most people's TVs. You offer high definition, that'll blow people's minds. I mean, it shouldn't, but we've been so deprived of quality sort of vision for so long.
Well, you can't actually buy a standard box for the high definition. You actually need to buy an IQ2 box for the high definition.
Which is what Dan's saying. I mean, why are they actually selling us standard definition? We've all got these 50-inch TVs. If you look at the Foxtel consumer,
some people may not.
The average Foxtel customer, though, has got a reasonable TV set. They're generally higher socioeconomic customers.
Well, don't forget some shows.
So why are we selling
some people don't have high definition TVs, Andrew.
Well, don't forget some shows.
I think that's a low percentage these days. I think it's a low percentage. I mean,
let's go to Daryl for a minute. Daryl, what sort of TV do you have, mate? Do you have a high definition?
Yeah, I recently, when I got a high def when we had to change over to digital. Exactly. I think that with getting back to competition, I think you'll find you may get competition to Foxtel, not so much from having another provider, another equivalent of Foxtel, but once internet in Australia, and once with the rollout of the NBN, National Broadband Network, and the fact that we finally get decent bandwidth allowances, so we're not like, for those in the US, Australia's for years had restrictive bandwidth allowances, which meant internet TV, internet-based TV, internet streaming was really hobbled. And I think that now with the NBN rolling out, now with the big telcos saying, well, we'll give you bigger allowances, that really opens the play for Netflix and their equivalents to come in and actually say to Foxtel, well, we can stream it, we can stream all this stuff, what are you going to do? And I think that's where Foxtel's, that's where it'll be good competition for Foxtel.
Yeah, exactly. Even Telstra doing good deals now with Foxtel. You can get 3 months free and that sort of thing, and also Foxtel's doing the V8 supercars now, Andrew, next year. I think they got the rights to that. Is that right? Or?
Yeah, I believe they do. Yeah, I believe they do, actually. Look, Foxtel have a good service, but ultimately it comes down to pay to play.
Well, exactly.
I personally believe that if they really, really brought their pricing back, just cut it.
Well, how much are you going to pay for Foxtel, mate? You can't pay. You have to make some money out of it. You have to.
What I was going to say, Brad, is ultimately they've got about a third of the country, I think, on Foxtel, about a third of homes. What do they need to do to get a half of homes, or to get 2/3 of homes onto Foxtel? I mean, the question is it a value? Is it that people don't see value in the product that they're selling? Is it a monetary thing? What's the makeup? What's the shift with that? I think they're doing a few things now which are great with their pricing.
Yep.
But as Dan said, when you add that up, if it's $25 to start, I'd go and get sport. That's another $20 I'd get movies, that's $20. My wife Christy would want entertainment, that's $20. So we're already up to $60 plus 25 is 85 plus high def. So I'm paying $100 a month already before I know what So even though it is great value starter, it's $25 to get going. So that's basically just to get the foot in the door, so that you start being sold.
The question is, do you want good quality or do you want crap free-to-air quality?
Look, it's a good question. It also comes down to time. I mean, how much time do you have to watch? And look, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good shows on free-to-air. You know, if you look at the main networks at 7:30, 8:30 at night, they run all of their premium content. Yeah, that's pretty good stuff, but then there's a lot of cool stuff in the States that you just don't get on the free-to-air.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But, you know, you can't...
I'd also say there's a lot of really cool stuff.
Them sort of shows, you know, you can't get some...
I was going to say...
You go, sorry, Dan, sorry, mate, didn't mean to cut into you.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think there's a whole lot of really good shows here in the US that you don't get here on Foxtel either. And I think this is really the point that you're finding with the Australian consumer now, which is you put forward the question about it's essentially a pay TV versus free-to-air model. That's not really the case anymore. What you're dealing with in Australia is audiences of whom have been so dissatisfied with the free-to-air broadcast offering, or as they call it in the US, over-the-air. They're so dissatisfied with that offering that they've really taken to illegal downloading in a very big way. So something like Foxtel is not just competing against free-to-air, you're competing against illegal downloads, and you're also competing with people of whom have set themselves up with subscriptions to overseas services, so services like in the US, your Netflix, your Hulu, your Amazon, and really your Foxtel is competing with all of these now. And I don't think that the value proposition for Foxtel is actually enough. And if you look at, say, that entry-level package of $25 a month for Foxtel to get those bare basic channels come through, for that same money, you can get yourself a Hulu subscription, a Netflix subscription, get most of the way towards an Amazon Prime subscription for the sort of year's subscription. It doesn't really quite make sense in terms of that economic value. You're getting so much content through these three different sources against the one legitimate entry-level package.
Well, Dan, how do you get it though, mate? You need a VPN, that sort of thing. You know, most people don't know how to do that sort of thing. You know.
No, you do, but cut to early next year in Australia, where you're going to start seeing Netflix are expected to roll through in about March to May next year.
Okay.
We're going to see Channel 9 and Fairfax with their joint service of Streamco, which that's providing another streaming service. Foxtel's Presto service, which at the moment is saddled with standard definition streaming of only movies. No one uses it really. It's got a huge amount of potential, really great library, but nobody's using it because it's all standard def, and people can't actually get it onto their televisions. Once these are really sort of up and running early next year, because Foxtel will revive the Presto package to include a bit more TV. At the moment, I think they're in negotiations with Channel 7 to try to get some content for those guys.
All right.
So at the moment, you're going to start seeing these three services up and running early next year. You're not going to need the VPN, and then suddenly Foxtel's, standard traditional cable service. Like, really, what value does that hold for most people? Not a whole lot.
Yeah, well, I suppose you can choose from that, or you can get the IQ box if you like to record stuff and that sort of thing. Which I love to record TV shows and that sort of thing. But what about the Foxtel Play? What's your view on Foxtel Play? Is that worth money at all? Do you reckon or not?
Again, I don't know, I think it really comes down to the core problem with Foxtel. And the core problem with Foxtel is that you're paying for linear streams of content, and because Foxtel themselves, we say how much money it costs, and we're all sort of aghast at how much we have to pay for pay television. But the thing is, Foxtel have costs themselves. They are paying for a huge amount of content. I think the problem with Foxtel is they're paying for too much content. They're paying to be able to provide the 50-odd channels of linear channels, that would be watching our box channel surfing. The problem is that you compare that against, say, Netflix, where, yes, they're outlaying a fair bit of cash, but they're not actually paying anywhere near the volume for content that Foxtel have to. So I think what they're actually competing with is these services, which are effectively the equivalent of maybe 2 channels worth of content each. And, there's no way you can really compete against that.
Yeah. Okay. Belinda, what about you?
There's too much content they're paying for. They're passing the costs on to us.
Okay, let's go to Belinda real quick. You've got Foxtel. What's your view on Foxtel? Do you like it, or is it worth the money that you're paying?
I seem to think it is because I like sport and movies. So it's really good for me. And I always seem to be able to find something on there.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's worth paying a bit extra because if you go on free to air, you flick through the channels.
So many ads on
there's nothing.
So many ads, and I'm loving some of I love Sons of Anakin. You can't get that on free to air, which I've said about 10 times already. You cannot get that season 7 anywhere but Foxtel, but which is good, And but, depends on what you want to watch. And,
I like the.
Go ahead, Andrew.
The box set thing
Moving away
sounds
from-
really good too.
Moving away from Foxtel for a minute, Dan, talk to us a little bit more about Televised Revolution and what you guys are doing there with that podcast. I believe that's one of the longest-running Australian podcasts ever of all time since the start of the world began.
Oh, yeah, close to. It's definitely Australia's longest-running podcast dealing with TV or television culture. I think since man walked out of the primordial ooze and wanted to start podcasting about TV, we were definitely there amongst the first lot of them. We've been doing that since about 10 years now. It's been running for quite a while. It's like 368 episodes this week. I might be a little bit off. But we've been doing it more or less weekly for the last however years. We've got the podcast going, and we do one of those each week, which we record on a Monday night and live stream out, very similar to what you guys are doing here with the podcast. Yep. But yeah, so we put it out. We use Google Hangouts because that seems to be a great way for a lot of our audience to be able to watch us on the YouTube stream as we go. And then it comes out as an audio podcast throughout the week. We usually have a review podcast that we do as well, but I've recently just moved from Brisbane to Sydney, and so getting some of the infrastructure in place to keep facilitating that needs to be worked out, but that'll come back sometime in the next few weeks. But I guess maybe the real heart and soul of Televised Revolution is the website, so televisedrevolution.com, and basically it's opinion pieces and reviews and very sort of thought pieces about the TV industry, both from an Australian perspective as well as looking at content in the US, in the UK, and then some other international TV along the way. And we've got strong sort of social interaction as well, so really sort of healthy Twitter audience as well. Very sort of, which has been posted.
Great website, by the way, Dan. I love great site, mate. Great information and great TV stuff, and great podcast. And what made you get into doing a TV podcast?
The podcast. Well, I can tell you how I got into the website to begin with. Okay. Which was I was sitting in the Brisbane Writers Festival in about 2002, 2003, and blogging was only really starting to sort of come into its own at that point. Like, it wasn't really the mainstream thing that we sort of appreciate it today. Back in the olden days when everything was black and white, or at least sepia. But during those times, there wasn't really a lot of content out there about the Australian TV industry, and it really bugged me picking up my local newspaper. So being in Brisbane, it was the Courier Mail, and picking that up and just finding the level of writing about TV in there was just so low quality. I just couldn't really wrap my mind around the fact that we were accepting this as content being sort of provided to us. So I thought, well, why don't I do it? I had this very sort of inspirational talk that I heard at the Writers' Festival. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I get the blog up and running, but at the same time that happened, I fell into full-time employment for the first time in my life, and so I didn't really sort of have that much content coming through on the blog. And so for the next sort of year or so, I think it was a bit stagnant and wasn't really as content-rich as it needed to be. In that time, a few other sites got up and running, like David Knox's excellent TV Tonight blog. Yep, great. And so he really started doing what it was that I'd sort of envisioned that I'd be doing. But as time went on, I really sort of played around that sort of area a bit more. And podcasting, I kind of fell into it. Was that emerging sort of technology come through. And it inspired me in much the same way that blogging did, which is, there was no one really on the radio talking about TV in an intelligent fashion. So, why not us? So we got up and running with a 10-minute podcast, and then eventually it became a radio show on Brisbane's Triple Z 102.1 FM. And then went back to becoming a podcast, and it's been going ever since.
So is this your main job, Dan? Do you get paid for doing this, or is it another job? Main job?
Project. So this has been sort of, out of hours work for the last 10 years. So definitely keeps me busy.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Let's go to Paul. Any questions for Dan?
No.
Okay.
Pretty much all the questions he's answered.
What's your view on Foxtel, Paul? Do you have Foxtel?
Used to a long time back when I was in Sydney. I did have Foxtel for a while until I realised I wasn't really watching it, and I was just recording everything and not watching it. But other than that, I do agree with the whole fact that you're paying for Foxtel, but you don't get HD automatically, and you have to actually pay that extra amount of money to get the HD abilities.
Well, it's not that much money for HD. It's like extra $10, isn't it? $10 something, isn't it? $10.
But the thing is, you shouldn't have to pay for HD, where it should just automatically be available to you.
Well, I don't
because it is just
I don't know about
just
that.
content.
I don't know about that, but they have to make some money out of it. But anyway,
Sorry, just on that.
yeah.
A consideration is that all this content is actually produced in high definition now. There's no reason why Foxtel should be down converting its standard definition to be streamed to us so that we pay more for the high def, which is actually its natural native format now.
All right. Yeah, that's a good comment, Dan. So, Andrew, would you be getting Foxtel on anytime soon, mate? Or have you been talked out of it?
Look, I'm still not 100% sure, but ultimately, we're actually looking at Netflix, to be honest. We're considering when Netflix comes out, whether to get that. The question, of course, is going to be around programming and licensing.
Yep.
When Netflix hits Australia, are they going to have problems with existing agreements, with Rupert Murdoch's News Corp and Foxtel and these sorts of companies? Do they already own a lot of the content that Netflix would play in the US in Australia? And if that's the case, then I think a lot of people who already have Netflix coming through, channels from the US probably are not going to want to consider the Australian version because it may actually be missing a lot of content.
Well, exactly.
Am I looking to sign up with Foxtel in Australia? Maybe not. I'm still just going to wait and see what happens because I think the market over the next 12 to 24 months, as I'm sure Dan would agree, is going to get a real shake-up. And when you look at things like, organizations like HBO looking at doing live streaming, everyone else is going to watch what they do. They're one of the leaders at the moment in creating good, unique content. And they're going to look at how that goes. And if it goes really well and people do sign up for HBO live streaming through their own channel, then you may see others follow suit, others, industry and programming.
What about the IQ3, Andrew? You haven't mentioned that yet, mate.
The IQ3 is a good product, but I guess what that does is it's, multi-channels boxes. It brings in multiple channels, so you can have up to 8 or 10 separate channels that you can watch.
Yeah.
You can record, do those sorts of things. Yeah, but I do get a lot of that already with my Humax box, which is a great product. I think I can record 2 or 3 things at the same time, which is probably enough for me, as long as I can record something when the wife's busy watching what she watches. That's all that sort of matters. So the IQ3 is just the next evolution.
Well, I'm looking forward to the IQ3, mate. You haven't, we haven't seen it yet, but I hear good things about it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a great product. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the landscape over the next 12 to 24 months.
Definitely.
And see where that all goes.
Exactly. Let's go to Jacob. What about you? I know you've got cable TV. What's your view on all this, mate?
Well, I like it better than having like a satellite because no weather.
Oh, that's nothing to do with the programming, mate. What's your view on the programming?
Hey, it's better than what they're saying. Better than what Dish is talking about.
Well, you've got cable TV. Would you ever go to free-to-air TV and Dish pay TV or not?
I can't go free-to-air TV. I have no free-to-air TVs out here, and plus they're free on my box.
So you pay for cable TV. How much do you pay for cable TV a month? $100. You don't pay for it though, do you? Your parents pay for it.
Yep, it comes with the internet as well.
Well, you get it pretty easy at home then, don't you? Let's go to Jody. What about you? What's your view on all this?
Well, I think it's interesting the differences between what you guys have in Australia versus what's going on here in the States. Some similarities, but I think, and I'm curious, Dan, what you think. What everything is evolving to? Do you think we're evolving to a non-cable kind of system, just a streaming network like HBO announced?
No, well, I totally think we are, and I think a big part of what HBO... Sorry, I could. A big part of what HBO were really looking at is what Netflix are doing with their international rollout. So over the last 2 years, we've started seeing Netflix roll out to, they've obviously got North America with Canada and their service up and running, but then there's a South American service, they're across the UK, they just launched in France, the Germany I think just launched recently, the Netherlands, all the Nordic nations they've got more or less sort of wrapped up now. So they've been involved in this sort of global sort of launch, and what we're going to start seeing is whenever they have one of these new TV shows, like we've seen with House of Cards or Orange is the New Black or BoJack Horseman, or any of these sort of other great shows that Netflix have rolled out recently, when they launch these, because Netflix originals, they'll now be launching on the same day and date in every one of these territories around the world. So effectively what Netflix have done is they've replaced the traditional distribution model to a global network. So the way it works, I think being in the US, it's a bit sort of easy to ignore it. Sorry?
I was just saying Netflix don't put on the new Sons of Anarchy, though.
No, they don't. But what we're seeing the very sort of foundation of this laying out.
Yep.
So at the moment, and it depends on which territory you're in, because I think, I'm trying to remember which shows and whether Sons of Anarchy is one of them. There are a couple of regions which actually pick up shows pretty much the same day that they aired in the US. There's only about 2 or 3 titles they do this with. I get the feeling Sons of Anarchy might be one of them, but I'm not really too sure. But we'll ignore that as a sort of point. Yep. But what we've seen is Netflix rolling out this international distribution network, which, if you're not in the US, it's a bit hard to really appreciate how much of a drastic change this is to the way we consume content. Because if you're in the US, because the US controls the TV market, really, and most of the content the world really watches. In the US, obviously, the day that something airs is the day that it debuts in the world. Whereas in Australia, for example, we may see a show 3 months later, 6 months later, 2.5 years later. Like, it takes some time to start rolling out. So Netflix actually creating this international distribution network means that you're starting to see this fundamental shift where the entire world is experiencing the same content at the exact same time. Now, people of whom are operating in a bubble who only watch TV and don't engage with any other platforms of communication, that's perfectly fine. But as soon as you start getting onto Twitter and see people talking about the new TV show as it's launched in, these 3 or 4 countries on the same day, you're waiting, say, 2 weeks later for the episode, that suddenly becomes not quite good enough. You want to be able to watch these episodes at the same time and talk about these shows with everyone at the exact same moment. So you tend to actually favor the Netflix model. HBO, I think, are looking at what Netflix have done and rolling all this out. I thought, well, it's a bit of a problem for us in the United States, but we also need to be part of this entire global conversation taking place. We need to be able to make sure that our content, as we debut it, is available everywhere at the same time. And so these are the first steps that we're seeing with another major content creator like this stepping out there and actually creating this global distribution network.
All right, then. Then Dan, good stuff, mate. We're going to get hold of you if they want to get. Don't ask you any more questions, mate.
Just head up televisedrevolution.com.
Right.
If you go to the top of the page, there's all the social network links that we have, so people can find me quite easily there.
All right, good stuff. Appreciate your time, Dan. Good to have you on, mate. Jody, who do we have on next as a guest?
Oh, you're calling on me. My audio is really bad. Steve.
Steve, yes.
Steve? We got we have Michael Christian, which is a American actor, and we can talk to him for a few minutes.
Greetings, Australia. Greetings.
Welcome, Michael. How are you, mate?
Good. I have a few friends in Australia.
Oh, what part?
Sydney.
Oh, nice one. Good place, Sydney.
Yeah.
Stuff. And tell us about what you do.
Well, I'm a manicurist by trade, but I'm trying to become an actor. I do local theater here, local films. Trying to break into the film industry with so it's a lot of fun.
And I believe you got a film coming out in the Underground Film Festival here next month.
Yes, next month on the 14th, The Golden Skull. Yeah. And the director's going to put it in film festivals, and later on, we'll put it on YouTube so everybody can see it, so the whole world can see.
So, Michael, how'd you get into acting?
Well, like I told Steve, it all started a long time ago when I saw the Christopher Lee movie, The Horror of Dracula. When I saw him playing Dracula the vampire, I was like, whoa, I want to do that. I can do that. So that's how it all started when I was little. And growing up, I did a play in school, and just something that I've been doing all my life. So I hope to be successful at it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. So
cool. Have you gone to New York or Hollywood, or is there enough work right where you are?
No, ma'am. But I've gone to Houston, tried to audition in Houston for a local theater there, and waiting for a call. But I'm just trying to stay busy. Trying to do films and theater wherever I can, and so yeah, just keep at it. That's all.
How many films have you done so far? I know it's quite a few.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh my goodness, maybe up to almost 20 films and counting.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Any of the films available on iTunes, anything like that?
I believe A Dog's Life by Ponderous Productions. A Dog's Life, DAWG, A Dog's Life, not Dog the Animal.
What's that movie about? What's that about?
I had a small part in it. Basically, it's about a guy who's he's dying and he's trying to get back to see his girlfriend before he dies, to apologize to her and tells her how he feels. Yeah, so it's a pretty good film. Yeah. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, anyway.
Sounds good. Any questions, everyone? Brian, any questions, or do you want any views on anything, Brian? Because you haven't spoken much, mate.
I've been keeping busy.
Hello, Brian.
I can't think of anything right now.
Okay, let's go to Daryl. What about you, Daryl? Any questions or any views, mate, on anything?
Do you do a lot when you do theatre and audition? Because I've been involved in community theatre here for best part of 30 years. Is there a lot of like amateur theatre and that too in the parts of the US that you are, that you, while you're sort of waiting to do the professional movies or stuff that you can get your teeth into?
Yeah, there's a lot of. Did you ask me if there's a lot of amateur theater here? Yes, there is. And meanwhile, I tried to audition. I try to go to the biggest city in Texas, which is Houston. So I try to go and audition in Houston every year. So I haven't tried Dallas or Austin or San Antonio, but my main focus is Houston for now. Yeah.
Yeah, because certainly here, some of the bigger amateur theatre companies here, you'll sometimes find quite well-known professional theatre actors who just don't have any professional work on at the time, but to keep their hand in the theatre craft, they'll drop down and they'll be in amateur productions.
Yes.
All right. But okay, then anyone else got any questions? Andrew, any questions, mate?
Not really. I guess the only thing I would say is where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years from now? What's the ambition?
5 to 10 years, Hollywood. Hollywood, baby.
You go.
Hollywood, yeah. That's the main focus, yeah.
And don't forget,
stuff,
you
there,
heard this on the Techwebcast. If he makes it big.
Yeah, Techwebcast, yeah.
And in 5 to 10 years, we'll be able to say, hey, we interviewed him on Techwebcast, and now he's won an Academy Award.
Well, we actually interviewed Melissa Bailey, Daryl. And look where she is today, and she's very
she's doing fantastic.
Yeah,
wow.
We've actually interviewed a lot of celebrity people on this podcast, but it's unbelievable.
Who's Melissa Bailey?
She's a singer, mate.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you, Australia. Thank you, guys.
No problem, Michael. Good to have you on. Paul, let's talk about you for a minute, about what you've been up to with the iPad Air 2 and the new Techwebcast app.
Oh, right, yeah, sure. The new iPad 2 just came out Wednesday. That's pretty cool. Yep. Certainly a lot faster, and I'm using the Touch ID a lot.
Yep.
That's pretty much all I can say about the new iPad.
So basically, it's not working.
There's not a big jump. Let's put it that way from the.
You're making a big deal out of it, mate. That's why I got one.
Well, it's better in some way.
Now you're telling me it's not a big deal.
Well, you have to use it for a few days to realise that. After the excitement goes,
I guess it depends on where you're coming from. I mean,
exactly.
I've got an old iPad 3.
Yeah.
So for me, if I bought the new one, it'd be a huge.
Oh, definitely.
Huge jump.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it'd be good value for you, Daryl. But Paul, what made you go to the iPad Air 2, mate? Was it
mainly for its hardware abilities. So I was, because my network on Wi-Fi is essentially 802.11 AC, and the only thing that was holding me back was the iPad on 802.11n. So going to the next generation beneficial to me, so I don't have anything to slow down the Wi-Fi network anymore. So that was the main reason why I went for it, and I know that's a pretty small reason, but still.
Yeah.
The other thing is that it's considerably faster than the previous gen, especially in iOS 8. I noticed with the first generation Air, it was actually a bit laggy in iOS 8 for some apparent reason. Maybe because it was using just a plain, it was using just the A7 chip, but it wasn't an A7X chip or the extra chip that they usually put into iPads. In this case, it was a case of we put the iPhone chip into the iPad as opposed to in buffing up the iPhone chip, so it worked better on the iPad this time around. So that was the other reason, because it was a A8X chip rather than the standard iPhone chip. I'll mention that there is more RAM in it, as it is about 2 gigs of RAM or something or other, but honestly, it doesn't actually matter to me because it's iOS. It doesn't really multitask that well in terms of using that much RAM. 2 gigs of RAM on an iOS device is like having, I don't know, 8 gigs of RAM on a computer. It's huge for an iPad to consume.
All right, well, Andrew's telling me to wrap up because he needs to go in 5 minutes, and we need to do something for Jacob as well before we go. Let's just give us a quick word about the new podcast app, Techwebcast, the app for the iPhone app, and that. Paul?
The beta 3, I think, was out a few days ago. So that's got some improvements in terms of functionality and what it can do. I'm actually discussing with you about getting live streaming available on the thing.
Yep, sounds good.
You might want to look at what service you want to use for live streaming, so we can connect directly to that.
Maybe Andrew, maybe he probably knows more than I don't know what he uses for his live streaming, but
because there's a few live streaming services out there.
Yeah. All right,
especially in audio.
Yeah, there's like Shoutcast and that sort of thing, isn't there?
Yeah, there's heaps of them.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll have a chat to you during the week about that. Andrew Cunningham, good to have you on, mate. What's your fun of the show, and let's wrap up.
Yeah, it's been great, and a big happy birthday to Jacob as well.
Yeah.
This week. So, and how young are you turning, young man?
Jacob?
Wow, that is young. Very good.
Yeah, that's good answer, Jacob.
So you can get a hold of me if you like. I've enjoyed doing the show.
Thanks, mate.
And it's always great. It's been good to talk about TV.
Yeah.
With Dan this week, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And you can get a hold of me on Facebook or Twitter as Cunning Drew, and make sure you download the Zafo and Rewind apps and have a look on there. And it's been a great show, enjoyed it, and looking forward to next week.
Yep. Thanks, mate. You get me on Twitter at Brad Oz and Techwebcast. Jody Rains, what about you, mate?
Yep. Well, first of all, happy birthday, Jacob.
Is Jacob there at all? Where is he?
I don't know.
Are you there, Jacob?
I'm here, Brad. It's just Cox is working on my internet right now.
That's what you keep saying. But anyway, listen to Jody. She's got something she wants to say to you.
Go ahead.
No, wait. We all have to do this together. That was the deal. Right? You ready? Brad?
Yeah, go on.
Brian? I'm not doing it by myself. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
Happy birthday, dear Jake.
We'll never be pop singers, that's for
Happy
sure.
birthday, old man.
Hip hip.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Okay, good effort, guys. Good effort.
It's not a singing podcast, okay?
No,
But anyway,
it's
yeah,
not.
definitely. Happy birthday, Jacob. And it was a great episode. Enjoy every time we're here on Tech Webcast. Everybody's great. And you know I love you. You can find me on Twitter as Sunswept. Find me at my website, webmarcom.net or jodyrains.com. All the usual places. For the most part, you can find me as Jody Rains or webmarcom.
All right.
And soon to be re-emerging again, A2SM, but that's another story for another day.
Sounds cool. Okay, what about you, Brian?
Well, you can all find me on Twitter at Brian Boer and Facebook at Brian Boer, BrianBooher, and Google Plus at Brian Boer 1.
All right, cool, man.
And yeah, I'm going to be posting my review of this wonderful Galaxy Note phone soon.
Cool.
Which is totally awesome.
What do you like about it, mate?
It's a big screen, and I can write with it, and it works with Google Wallet. And also, if you want to have a really good laugh, check out my YouTube page for a quick video of me with Brad and Jacob dropping my phone right out of the box.
That's unbelievable. That was
just like the guy in Perth.
Yeah.
Only it didn't hit concrete.
No, I didn't know.
So you're the guy.
that was pretty good then, Brian. Lucky your phone didn't break, mate, at all. It's good.
Yes.
What's that, Paul?
Wasn't that guy that dropped it in Melbourne?
I'm not sure. Don't know where he was. Don't know. I think it might have been Sydney.
I thought it was Perth.
I thought it was.
I remember he was the first one in Australia or something that bought it. I can't remember.
Yeah. But anyway, Paul, what about you? Where can I get hold of you, mate? And are you getting anything new anytime soon besides the new iPad Air or any new phones? Or
Not that I know of. Let's put it that way.
Because you always upgrade to the new stuff, don't you? Straight away.
Depending on the actual item and my needs at the time.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, so you can catch me on obviously YouTube, PK12. You can also catch my apps on iTunes and Android, PKTV, and on Twitter, PK12. And anything on Google Plus, PKTV, and everything else.
Cool, good stuff, mate.
All good.
So you'll be on next, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm excited about the new iPad Air. I'll get him on Monday, so I'll let you know how I like it. Let's go to Belinda. What about you?
You can get me at it's at bdemi on Twitter, and on Facebook it's just Belinda Demigaro, which is DEMY-GEROE.
Cool.
So right. So I had fun today.
Good stuff.
As always.
Yep. Good stuff. And enjoy your new phone.
Yeah. I found the camera actually quite good compared to, because I saw pictures that I took on the other phone.
Okay.
The iPhone 4S, and then it compared it to the 6, and it's much clearer.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
As well. So so it's good.
Yeah, better photos on the iPhone 6, I reckon.
Yeah.
Better quality in that. Yeah, definitely. Darryl, what about you? What's your phone of the show? We're going to get hold of you, mate.
Look, great show, Brad. Thanks for inviting me back to be a part of it. You can find me on Twitter at Learnscape, one word. Or I usually haunt and stalk people on Google Plus. So it's Darryl Hunt at Google Plus. So that's where I generally hang out.
Good stuff. Hopefully you'll have the Gmail inbox soon.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to anyone, Darryl.hunt@gmail.com. Hint. Anyone get invites?
I'll send my see if I can get Jodie on there too, and Belinda. Jacob Jones, have you mentioned your Twitter address, mate?
No, I didn't.
Go ahead, mate.
Jazzbot32669-1Z.
And happy birthday for tomorrow, mate. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Whatever you get up to, and have fun, and yeah.
Okay.
What do you want to say to that, it?
Thank you.
Thank you. So, thank you.
Techwebcast. The hosts and guests are unsurpassed. Techwebcast. Cause technology, it moves so fast. Techwebcast. Ha! Stick around and you're gonna have a blast. Yeah! Techwebcast. Ha! Techwebcast. Big ups to Andrew, to Brad, Jody, Steve, and Jennifer. Boom!